Everyone's like, what is going on with the refs? And I'm like, I don't know. And you finding me $500 is not going to do.
What happens when a role player becomes the loudest microphone in the W and refuses to turn it down? This is not a montage of scuffles. It's a story about loyalty, candor, and how small fines can supercharge a voice when fans are already listening. Sophie Cunningham started as Caitlin Clark's protector and became something bigger, a pressure valve for an audience tired of swallowed whistles and polite statements. If you want deep dives that cut through the noise, hit subscribe and join the crew. Today we trace how one season turned a player into a platform and why the league could not stuff the story back in the box. Keep watching, because the first spark was not the moment you think.
Just the competitor that I am. I'm fierce, I'm sassy. I stick up for my teammates, stick up for myself. And so sometimes I think that's okay to be feisty and to be yourself.
Sophie drew a line the league could not ignore. Fans kept asking what was going on with the officiating, and her answer was blunt. If the W would not protect its biggest draw, she would. From her first days in Indiana, every ignored hip check on Caitlin, every swallowed whistle, and every petty fine sharpened her resolve. She stopped playing nice with narratives and started speaking plainly about what she saw. No one was off limits. If a call felt inconsistent, she said so. If coverage felt slanted, she called it out. What started as loyalty turned into a mission. Play hard, tell the truth, and demand that the face of the league be treated like one. That tone connected with fans who were tired of silence. It also painted a bright target on her back, which she welcomed. The spark was there, and the explosion was coming next. Because once she stopped tiptoeing, every minute and every mic got louder, and she had no interest in turning the volume down.
I mean, she has changed our game in the best possible way in every way.
Look, you go down into the trees and things happen, and Kiki Ariafin right there, they had an extra little shove, and she's just like, what I do? Well, you kind of grab up, and then Sophie Cunningham pops right up and has a lot to say.
Preseason gave the first warning shot. A rookie knocked Sophie to the floor with the kind of extra shove fans had watched Caitlin absorb for a year. And the response was instant. Sophie bounced up, stared down the moment, and sent a message you could read on mute. Try that again and see what happens. This was not only about spacing a depth, it was deterrence. If a veteran could get dropped without a blink from the whistle, then Clark would be open season all summer. Kafiva needed a player willing to take a tech, set a screen that stung, and stare down anyone who tested the guard driving views. That clip traveled fast and sold promise hinted at for weeks. When the schedule turned real, the pattern reappeared. Contact on Clark, swallowed whistles, and a crowd begging for protection. Sophie treated that preseason moment as policy, not an outburst. If the officials would not balance the scales, Indiana would. That was the preview. The premiere was coming next.
Mabry. That's a flagrant foul. It's a hard foul. You could say it's a play on the ball, but
During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so, at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do, and I'm a team player, so it's all good.
Then the Commissioner's Cup poured gasoline on everything. The game tipped from physical to reckless in a handful of trips. A swipe at Clark's face went unpunished. A body check leveled her the next possession. No ejection, no correction, no signal that the biggest draw in the building would be protected. That is when Sophie snapped. She delivered the play fans had begged to see, a hard, controlled answer that said enough and dared anyone to push it further. It was not pretty or subtle. It was a line. Feeds erupted, and the Fever finally looked willing to answer force with force. Next day, Sophie refused to reduce it to one scuffle. She called it a buildup of years of inconsistency and a simple promise. If the star is not protected, I will protect her. For supporters, it was catharsis. For critics, it was proof she was reckless. Either way, the message landed, and the target on her back got brighter. What followed would make it glow, and it would not fade.
They bring in Sophie Cunningham. I had no idea. Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6.
yeah.
Yep.
Boom! Wow. I love it.
Man, I don't know how excited people are to be going to Detroit or Cincinnati.
The aftermath turned a player into a platform. Clicks did numbers, and so did Sophie. Overnight, she shifted from role player to folk hero for a restless audience that had been told to pipe down for a year. Merch popped, edits circulated, and a cheeky TikTok nodding to the dust up took off. Comments hit the same theme. Thank you for standing up for Caitlyn. That gratitude became leverage. Appearances and followers piled up, and the league wrote a fine that only fed the story. For most pros, a few $100 stings. For a newly marketable personality, it barely registers. Fans did the math and amplified her message. Suddenly, every post was a referendum, and every game day outfit a headline. Sophie leaned in, knowing polarization is currency in creative media. Silence would have killed the moment. Speaking clearly made it grow. Candor versus caution pulled in casual viewers who rarely watch live games. And the next symbol would make it roar louder.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I am someone who says what everyone else is thinking or talking about, not just with the refs,
Did you post
but
that
with
after
Detroit,
after you guys lost?
with Cleveland. I want people to hear what I just said. I am the only one, but if you ask our league, they feel the same exact way.
The league feels the same way about the refs as you?
And Detroit and Cleveland.
Yeah.
And
Do
so
you want
now,
to give it one more shot?
The tunnel became a stage, and the shirt was the script. Pre-game, Sophie walked in wearing a tee that paired her with two teammates, a wink at chemistry and the chatter around the fever. Some loved the joke. Others saw provocation. That friction was the point. She was not tiptoeing. He was aligning, on camera, with a grin. By choosing a shirt that would become a story on its own, she made clear where her loyalty sat and how little she cared about safe optics. The reactions proved the split. One side cheered the swagger, the other clutched pearls. Either way, the click traveled and the message landed. When a player leans into narrative and fans rush to share it, the league can't control the frame. Sophie understood that perfectly and kept pressing advantage. You do not need a podium when the tunnel delivers headlines. It also told teammates and rivals, this is our circle and we're not apologizing. The next volley would test how far that leverage could stretch.
no, because
Okay.
I said what I had to say.
You go off.
And I'm not going to apologize because I fully believe that. Don't tell me that Detroit is more fun than Nashville. You have seen players in our league try to like toughen up Caitlyn. We call her Cece. Cece. For even when I wasn't on her team, like I know the talks that Phoenix had in the locker room of like, no, we're gonna prove her, we're gonna show her what the W really is. You know what I mean? And like I get it to a certain extent, and like every rookie.
She did not save the candor for calls. Early July, Sophie weighed in on expansion chatter and questioned the league's city choices. The reaction was instant and loud. Media scolded, fans piled on. For a beat, she softened it, then flipped the script and said the quiet part that stung most. Others in the league agreed they were just afraid to say it. Critics called it reckless. Supporters called it refreshing. Either way, she proved something about power in a creator era. When a player with momentum states an unpopular view clearly, the conversation follows, not the press release. It also proved something about Sophie. She was not chasing a tidy brand deal. She was building a platform that lived on candor. The fines were coming, but so were the downloads, the clips, and the invites. Heat was the price. Attention was the reward. And when a topic touches identity and market strategy, the echo outlasts a game night.
Coming into the league, that's how you're going to treat them. But
Right.
there's just more for her. So it's her second year. And like now being on her team and like seeing it, I'm like, what are people doing? Like actually it's just too much. And
Yeah.
like, it's just, I'm over. And if I'm saying it's too much, then it's probably too much.
No, that's so fair.
Like,
Good
that's
point.
fair, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple players on their team that are just do a little bit extra stuff, like
Yeah.
just chippy talking. Like you're a professional athlete. Like that's what happens,
And I
right?
feel like you see it more because people act like this toward
The first fine landed with the weight of a parking ticket. She posted a TikTok lip-syncing a chorus that mocked bad decisions and loosely tagged it to officiating. It took off. The W answered with a $500 bill. For most players, that number is loud enough to quiet the feed. For Sophie, it was content. She repeated it on mic. You fining me $500 is not going to do shit. That is the puzzle the W has not solved. In a creator economy, cheap enforcement becomes fuel. not friction. She paid it and went louder. The clip lived for days on timelines, spawned edits, and reached casuals who had not watched a full game. Small penalties cannot catch up to fans who outpace official channels. Sophie bet on that speed, and she was right. It also reframed who set the mood. Not the memo, but the meme. Not the press, but the post. When fans treat a fine like a punchline, the official voice sounds small.
Yes, 1,000%. So in the first half, the refs didn't call. Someone should have been thrown out, and the refs did not call it.
Correct. I remember that.
They didn't. And so I was like, all right.
She got full body chested.
By 3 people.
Late, yeah.
Like 2 people, they're like, oh, it's fine. I'm like, if that was anyone else, I would have been booted out of the game. I know that for sure. I'm a little sassy, but like, so are they.
Your leash is shorter though, because they know.
Literally. I don't even have a leash. I just have a freaking collar and a hand on it. Damn it.
No, I think that's from what I've seen in the media.
Yeah, what is the outside? Like the outside
the
view
discourse
of the W?
is like, why bully the person who is like not 100% responsible, but like has a huge role.
So she opened a bigger channel. The podcast arrived with the title that fit her ethos, Show Me Something. From episode 1, she made it clear no one was safe. Not opponents, not officials, not even her former locker room. She described a marquee game as a loss of control, said a body check should have drawn an ejection, and argued inconsistency had become the real story. She also explained what many suspected. Shippiness toward Clark was not random. It was targeted and too much. From a teammate, it read like testimony rather than a hot take, and fans rewarded clarity with downloads. The league did too, by writing another fine. Most players hit and move on. Sophie named things, gave examples, and asked the question fans kept repeating. If a rookie elsewhere can get a superstar whistle, why does the face of the league still take hits without the same respect? And once it lives in audio, you can't stuff it into a tidy quote.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. Like, we have a lot of badasses in our league.
Role in growing your sport.
Dude, and it literally like pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
Be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league, or if our league would...
Then she pressed the red button. Asked who the face of the league was, she did not dodge. It is Caitlin, and pretending otherwise is silly. She praised veterans, but refused to let a fake argument survive. That line resonated because it matched what numbers and the eye test had screamed for a year. It also drew fire from corners that prefer careful phrasing. Why would any league downplay the star, bring in new money, new viewers, and sellouts on the road? Say it, celebrate it, protect it. From a teammate, it read like fact, not fandom. That clarity poured gas on a debate that had been simmering below the surface. Fans replayed it as a mission. Detractors called it divisive. Sponsors called it clarity. It forced a choice. If the W wanted the benefits of a singular star, it had to deliver the protections that come with it. Admit the obvious on camera, and each night becomes a test of if the whistle matches the billing. The Page debate lit up the scoreboard. Sophie praised the rookie's talent, then said what millions noticed. Page seemed to get every whistle, while Clark still absorbed hits without the same cushion. She said you could not touch her, called the inconsistency brutal, and the take traveled at once. Pushback arrived from predictable corners, and another fine followed. But the larger point stuck. In a star era, who gets the star whistle and why? Players and coaches added angles. Some agreeing, others saying the pendulum had swung too far. That debate had lived in edits and threads. Now it lived in player audio on a channel she owned. Institutions can dismiss clips, but not first-person testimony. The price was another invoice. The reward was control of the frame. She kept both and kept going, which set up the cruel twist no one wanted. The louder the whistle talk, the more casuals tuned in to see if the story matched the box score, hauling officials into the plot. Then the cruel twist hit. A knee injury ended her season and ended the on-court fireworks. But it did not silence the microphone. From rehab, she kept the same cadence. Protect the star, demand consistency, and say what others will not. She described the rising temperature around Clark and the velvet treatment another rookie received. Another fine followed. The pattern was obvious. Invoices kept coming, and her audience kept expanding. It argued growth needs honesty and guardrails, not slogans. From the sideline, her voice sounded clearer and carried beyond Fever fans. A paradox emerged. Discipline tried to shrink her footprint, but penalties for opinions validated her. Every invoice birthed a round of attention, and the attention kept paying her. That's what institutions miss. In sports built on personality, conviction reads as value, and value attracts attention you cannot buy. The league can police tone, but it can't lower volume. Fans keep raising. By season's end, control lived where minutes lived. A charismatic role player became a megaphone for a restless audience, and the W discovered that control does not reside in a memo. It resides in the feeds people refresh. Critics called her reckless. Supporters called her necessary. Both read the same reality. Creator coverage outruns official channels. Small punishments add oxygen, not silence. If the league wants to steer its story, it must answer the premise she hammered for months. Protect stars and be consistent. Do that and the conversation cools. Ignore it and the microphone stays loud. This is why the saga lands with new fans. Protect what grows the game. Reward skill. Punish cheap shots. And stop fighting the audience that pays. Once fines look like coupons and attention like currency, others notice and adjust. The next season will test whether policy catches the pace of the feed, or if the feed continues to write the policy for them. Here is the bottom line. Control lives where the audience chooses to spend time, and that is not a press release. It is the feed. Sophie's minutes disappeared, her microphone did not, and every fine built the audience she used to challenge the room. If the W protects its stars and delivers consistent calls, the temperature drops and the story resets. If not, the platform she built will keep shaping the frame. Subscribe for more sharp breakdowns and tell me which change you would make first. The next chapter will show whether policy finally catches the pace or the pace keeps writing policy for them.